Let's be honest, Stalker story modes tend to orbit the exact same gravitational center. Grizzled, sodium-preserved men in tactical suits, carrying names so aggressively badass they sound like rejected Call of Duty DLC characters, with generally second-rate stories delivered with maximum seriousness. But what about the story of a fragile, innocent girl in the Chernobyl meme zone searching for love? Finally, healthy testosterone. The whole mode feels like it was made by someone whose morning starts at 2 p.m, with a severe TikTok and porn addiction, breastfed not with milk but with Monster energy, somehow still maintaining respectable taste in music, a solid grasp of pop culture, and sweaty palms in the presence of girls. Damn, that's literally me. Following Stalker tradition, I was about to jump into the game on max difficulty when I was suddenly warned that maybe that's not the best idea for a first playthrough. Unfortunately, there's no pussy difficulty here, so we pick Hetty and spawn on Cordon, or more precisely, on a server called Beautiful Boobs. Yes, friends, we are inside a virtual world made up of servers filled with memes, bots, admins and moderators. Holt, a local moderator or admin, explains the server rules to us through a $2 microphone fighting for its life against an aggressively loud techno track. In return, we tell him our name is Hetty and that we are looking for Kitty, our beloved. Obviously, he knows nothing, and it would be strange if he did, but he mentions that the servers are currently in complete chaos. Tons of new users flooding in, all because of the hype around the trove of skins. Communications are down, randoms are no longer allowed onto servers, but he says he might be able to help us. Not for free, of course. That would be just as strange, so we are tasked with retrieving an important flash drive stolen by chatbots. We get a lead from Sangres, who immediately asks us to bring the flash drive straight to him first, since it apparently contains a large amount of content featuring his naked ass, and he would very much prefer the world not see it. In return, he gives us a pistol loaded with 9mm rounds filled with pure, weaponized cringe. What's interesting about this game? Pretty much everything. From crates full of ammo, food and random goodies, to bizarre-looking artifacts and characters, all the way to the original mutants. For example, poodles that make sounds like and also conveniently contain ready-to-eat dog shawarma with surprisingly decent nutritional value. After shooting some bots and accidentally using a coupon that teleports me back to my spawn point on the map, we discover a few important things. First, weapons break very quickly, but there's also a lot of them. Second, we find a certain Nimble who is willing to trade us the flash drive in exchange for a sandwich. And third, we find Ryan Gosling, the local bus driver. After making Sangres happy and handing the flash drive over to Holt, we receive a rifle and some information. All the action around the trove of skins is currently centered in a place called the Workshop, which is looking for lost SSDs. And if we bring them these SSDs, they'll let us in, and that's where we learn everything we need. So after stuffing some diva cultist full of our cringe rounds, we find a guy who's supposed to give us access to the forums, and after taking a sip of the purest Fiji water, we head there. After shooting more bots and figuring out where the SSDs might be, we learn they're on the Skibidi server, one held by a moderator and one on a porn channel. We grab an invite and move out. Looks like our moderator has some problems. After saving his ass and getting the details, we proceed to gun down boars that for some reason drop nothing but beer, change the music on the server and, after wiping out a suspicious cult, descend to the depths of the foreign channel. There we find a bloodsucker, and his femboy milk. And after securing the second SSD and fighting our way through a crowd of local troglodytes, we are greeted at the exit by... What the fuck is that? After getting back to the surface and pulling the already tense hentai magazine for someone's collection out of the stash, we run into a problem. Some imposter just stole our invitation to the workshop. Now, unfortunately for this poor guy, I didn't bother figuring out who put him up to it, so after sending him to digital hell and slightly reducing the population of gummy dogs in the workshop, we deliver the drives to Emmy, the local bartender. She's definitely heard of Kitty, who turns out to be a local IT legend working for the workshop. To get an audience with someone like that, we'll need to raise our reputation in the eyes of the local community, and the most obvious way is to recover a GPU stolen by a certain crypto trader, Micha Yandex. This bastard has his own server, the Continental, where inside his personal sex dungeon he keeps the stolen hardware. One key needed to access it is on Micha himself, and the second is held by an agent he's keeping captive. We are even given a suitcase to pack that agent into and bring him back to Emmy. So after opening some loot boxes, grabbing a hammer, putting our hands into our backpack, we sell off all the magazines we've collected, get a new outfit, try out the local arena, and after thoroughly embarrassing myself, we use the services of Ryan Gosling and head to the forums, and from there to the Continental. In the trailer, we meet Kowalski, who sells us a key to the server warehouse, after which we wipe out the entire bot farm and rescue the agent, who begs us not to take her back to the workshop, but instead to the beautiful Boobs server, where she plans to live peacefully and open her own motel. Despite my attempts to explain that there is nothing beautiful there, and definitely no boobs, she refuses to give me the key unless I promise her. Fine. On the way back, after doing some shopping with Kowalski, putting on a sombrero and waifu panties, and briefly considering whether we should sell Redmate to him for personal use, we descend into the Gachi dungeon. And what's in this dungeon? In the dungeon, we find new armor, as well as a code to a BDSM room.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. Sorry for what? Our daddy taught us not to be ashamed of our dicks.
Where some invisible force decides to demonstrate who's the boss of the gym by lifting dumbbells with sheer willpower. And honestly, I might have even stayed and noticed if it wasn't for a local fanboy who appeared out of nowhere. Don't fuck me, please. After taking down these legends, we grab the GPU, tell the commie who wanted it for free to fuck off, and barely push our way through a horde of diva cultists. Then we jump into a car and head straight to the diva's ass. As you might expect, places like that don't usually let people live alive, so we are left with no other option but to raise the sugar levels at the checkpoints, using rockets that look like candy. After the local population effectively develops type 2 diabetes and we manage to flip the car with no way of getting out, we somehow escape the S and end up back on beautiful Boobs. After setting Redmate free, I also help her recover a furniture shipment from the diva's ass for her motel, a shipment that some commie decided to appropriate for himself, and I don't negotiate with people like that. Along the way, we trap a soul inside a sword, put a few bloodsuckers into the ground, and help defend beautiful Boobs from a faction trying to buy it out. I've got better business than saving Boobs, sorry. Brother, there is no better business than saving Boobs. As you can tell, there is no shortage of entertainment here, so using the services of a guy who literally looks like me, we spawn from the sky into the workshop and deliver the GPU to Emma. After that, we are granted an audience with Monica, the head of the server. She, Kitty and some guy named Carter are trying to solve the Trove of Skins, a task so complex that they need AI assistance, which Kitty and her group have gone to find. We are tasked with going through the stream channel, the coast and the swamp of simps. Sounds like the setup for a proper adventure, so without wasting any time, we set off, stopping along the way to deal with a cheater using a speed hack. First attempt goes badly, but thanks to cocksuck insurance, we respawn and go back to smash the cheater. After that, the owner of the Coast server asked us to steal a case right from under a group of mercenaries, and after wiping out an entire army and with male milk becoming our diet of choice, we finally arrive at the coast. The coast looks like Hawaii got hit by a nuclear bomb, or like Hawaii landed on Yantar. Either way, what actually matters is finding out where Kitty is, and Jester, the owner of this server, happens to know what's going on. Jester and his wife Sayori opened this server recently when Kitty showed up with people from the workshop, asking for Jester's hentai archive to train an AI. Everything was fine. Until they turn it on. Once activated, the AI started turning nearby users into simps, and now they roam the coast terrorizing everything digital. To shut this thing down, we need an analyzer, which we can get either by cheering up Jester's depressed wife, or by paying $300. Talking to a woman was not part of my plans, so we politely insist on paying and move on. We go pick a 3D printer for artifacts, cook dumplings using dumplings and urine dropped by snorks, yes, that's a side quest, and then head into the swamp of Sims, where we collect data from transmitters and run into a chimera, a fully operational caca demon, and
Let me have your kids. You look delicious. I won't spare your children.
Once all the formalities are done, we return to the coast and descend into the Simp core to shut down the AI. What initially looks like a standard X16 run, killing everything and flipping switches, turns out to be a trap. The AI locks us into a dialog window and won't let us access the main console while the timer keeps ticking. What you are seeing on screen is literally a dialogue-based labyrinth. One wrong choice and you are sent back to the start. There's even a real chance of crashing to desktop. But what seemed like an impossible puzzle turns out to have a very simple solution. You just pick 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, and then 1 again. The ChatGPT is deceived and promptly shut down. After that, we ran into some guy named Devilus, a member of Kitty's group, who, as it turns out, actually created this AI together with her. Kitty decided to screw over the workshop, figuring they weren't worthy of the power and wealth that the Truth of Skins offers, and went off to find a way inside, leaving this idiot here to babysit the Sim core. I refuse to accept this. Kitty, a person I have never met, never seen, and only known through text, is clearly incapable of making such a decision. So get ready to fight, you bastard. With that resolved, we proceed with a completely natural transition into the sewers, where we eliminate a population of streamer girls still attempting to monetize bodily fluids and kill Billy once again. We then convince Jester's wife to return to him using a cake we found in the sewers, and with the help of Ryan Gasoline, head back to the workshop to deliver the bad news to Monica. Here's the situation. We need to break into the buffer zone before anyone else, and to do that we have to shut down crime.net, which is located in a cursed wood, controlled by chaos cultists who also want the Truth of Skins to, surprise, spread chaos. Accessing crime.net requires cooperation from the veterans inhabiting the old server, a location we are now forced to engage with alongside delivering a package to a witch residing in the same wood. The old server is managed by Buildmaster, a man who, for reasons unknown, visually resembles a standard Stalker NPC, and who inform us that assistance will only be granted once we help all 4 of the server's inhabitants. Each one will give us a piece of a key in return. So here we go. Buildmaster asks us to deal with some diva cultists who, for some reason, aren't hostile. Doesn't matter if you kill them or not, they just need to disappear. James wants us to handle some corporate guys who are after him because he stole their stash of skins. Sterling asks us to steal Nazi gold from a Nazi village. And Montana wants help defending against an attack from Chaos cultists. For that, we need to find a turret and also go to Beautiful Boobs to ask Chips for help. He initially tries to dodge it and dump some extra tasks on us, but after I say enough that bullshit, let's go, he agrees. And together, we absolutely shred the cultists. The Cursed Woods is a very atmospheric place. But through a combination of persistence and wings that increase jump height by a factor of 3, we eventually reach the witch, a specialist in fortune-telling, secret-keeping, and softcore pornography. A professional profile that is objectively difficult to ignore. So after delivering her package, we immediately jump in to help her out, specifically by bringing her an old server and collecting mushrooms in the forest. What's wrong with me? Can you please take this cancer away from me? Getting back on the actual story path, we shut down crime.net and, as per tradition, push our way through a crowd of fanatics, during which all my artifacts suddenly decided to give up at the same time because I'd been using them for too long. So there I am, massively overweight, no regeneration, surrounded by enemies, forced to dump half my inventory just to survive. After making it back to the surface, we sprint straight into a classic sex offender's van that was sent to pick us up, which delivers us directly to the workshop. At this point, we basically have everything we need to enter the buffer zone, except Kate, who was working on the script to hack the Trove of Skins, has disappeared. Now we need to find him, or at least the disc with his script. For details, we go to Emma, who tells us that Kate went to the stream channel with some guy who's really into gambling. Crucial information. She also suggests we think about whether the workshop should even be the one to get the Trove of Skins. Maybe it should belong to everyone. Either way, she gives us her own version of the hacking script. No idea where she suddenly got it from, which would open the Trove to everyone. So after stocking up on new artifacts and buying a dress that gives bonuses for killing large numbers of people, we head out to find Jimbo, who's currently chilling near the local casino. This idiot wants us to help him win something in the casino, and after losing my last testicle to these sharks, we are told that Carter is most likely with Jester on the coast. So after saving Ryan Glasgow from a bloodsucker, we head there. From there, after paying 500 money, we learn that Carter might be hiding in a stash on the porn channel, but all we find is a disc with data about a contact on Beautiful Boobs, who for $300 is willing to snitch on his partner located on the Giantess server. Jesus. And finally, after putting down an absolutely unreasonable number of motherfuckers, at least 50, we find Carter, who after a long chain of intellectual revelations has come to the same conclusion. The Trove of Skins is too powerful for the workshop, or for everyone really, so he modified the script to just destroy it entirely. I appreciate the effort, but I am interested in the original script for the workshop, which Carter will only hand over after a duel. After informing Monica that literally everyone has betrayed us, finishing every possible side quest and crafting the best artifacts available for the final raid, we start the final raid. After stocking up with the olds and grabbing their local equivalent of a fatman with fatman nukes, we roll in with the workshop squad and clear the cursed woods one more time. The number of chaos cultists is just ridiculous. Along the way, we also run into a group of Diva followers, and at the end we are greeted by a boss helicopter. As expected, it barely takes any damage from a large caliber rifle, but also as expected, it doesn't survive a nuclear payload. With that out of the way, the path to to buffer zone is finally open. Although at some point we clearly took a wrong turn because we end up in Silent Hill. The thick fog doesn't spawn monsters from my imagination, but it absolutely destroys visibility, for both me and the enemies. Before moving forward, we need to locate and shut down all the servers on this server, and right from the first one, I get a surprise. Deciding that being trapped in a tight space with a crowd of mutants is not exactly a winning strategy, I take the fight outside and deal with them there. After that, the remaining shutdowns go much smoother. With the last of Almir's phantoms sent back to wherever Almir is, we reach the main one, the master server. Now we have to choose which script to upload. I don't really care, so we pick the first option, become eternal friends with the workshop and eternal enemies with everyone else. And after a failed attempt to stop us, we move on to the Starbreeze ruins. As soon as we get there, we are ambushed by Emmy's goons. We delete them instantly with nuclear weapon, then kill Emmy herself, and equip an artifact that massively boosts bullet resistance. Trying to recover stamina, we chuck another energy drink in one go and apparently die of kidney failure. After reconsidering our diet, we make it to the mausoleum of Parasha, where, as tradition dictates, we are greeted by a sniper with an RPG. Alongside the usual slaughter, there is also an echo of someone's podcast drifting through the halls.
On Tuesday, I will be on the H3HC podcast together with Ethan and Hila Klein.
I bet the Witch Grunter is gonna be a massive dildo. Oh no, it's just a Witch Grunter.
On Thursday, I'm gonna kill you guys.
In this mod though, its function is to disable the protection of the entire codebase. With that done, we head into Parasha's core, clear out what is hopefully the last wave of enemies, and finally start a conversation with Parasha herself. In case anyone was wondering what Parasha means, talking to Parasha, we learned that someone, she, saved her and gave her new functions. Good people provide us with things we want. The best people provide us with things we don't know we wanted. Probably the smartest thing I've read in 20 years of playing all kinds of Stalker. Then we are hinted that we are a fake, nothing more than
An imitation.
Of course, that's complete bullshit, so after taking control of the code, we set off on a now painfully familiar journey through teleporters from the previous mode. Thankfully, this time it would give me that level of PTSD. In the end, we find ourselves in what looks like someone's Owen, where we meet some sorceress who also went through hell to find Kitty. I don't like that at all, so we send the competition to the afterlife and take her loot. After that, we go kill the 7 deadly sins. Well, duh. And after shooting down a flying hemorrhoid called Feelings, we get teleported to Kitty. The moment we see her, we immediately start rambling about how much she means to us, only to hear,
I don't even know who you are.
As it turns out, she runs an entire bot farm that chats with idiots like me, milking them for money, likes and other goodies in exchange for virtual kisses. Solid 10 out of 10. The first truly realistic Stalker mod. Either way, she's willing to hand over the Trough of Skins, since she's already gotten everything she wanted and is leaving these parts for good. The workshop wins, starts actively upgrading the servers, and as for us, there is nothing left here holding us back either. I have to say, this is one of the best Stalker mods, at least in terms of gameplay. You can experiment with different builds and there's even a new game plus. 8.5 liters of fanboy milk out of 10.